His name is Whyte Jonah. He's a kind of member of one kind is one kind of. Currently, I'll comment on my result. Okay, so please put your hands together to make one for Mr. Jonah. We will talk about NFTs and Metaverse.
Good afternoon, everybody. So, my name is Whyte Jonah, and I am a UX designer. I'm like multiple things. I can do multiple things, but I prefer to come out as a UX designer. So, I just want to know the kind of all the persons that are here so that I will know where I'm coming from. So, how many students are here? If you're a student, then just raise your hand up. Okay. If you're in the Faculty of Engineering, let me see your hand up. Okay. Sciences, Management. Okay, awesome. So, about 70-80% persons here are from Faculty of Engineering. That's awesome. But basically, the reason why I wanted to know the departments or faculties you guys are from is because I want to know your level, the level of knowledge and where I'm supposed to communicate to you. So, a little bit about myself. I don't like talking about myself. You just ask me, okay, who are you? I'll just say I'm Louis. That's the only thing I'll tell you. If you ask me my staff what I do, I'll tell you I'm Louis. Any other thing I'm Louis. But because of this particular event, I will actually talk a little about myself. The reason I'm doing it is because what we are doing here is actually very vast, and it was actually disappointing to an extent that this is happening here, and there are other persons outside just catching cruise. You know that why something as important as this is happening. So it's very, very important. So I just want to break down some certain things to tell you guys that you being here is not actually a mistake. So basically, my name is Whyte Jonah. I studied computer, I studied mathematics. I'm a UX designer, I'm a game developer, I'm a game designer, I'm a graphic designer, I'm a VR designer, I'm a web developer, I'm a content. I have lots of those things. But I happen to be the Innovations Accelerate Innovation Hub, which is a tech community here in RSU. I'm also the co-founder of 6 Pass Studios, the game studio that develops mobile apps. Currently we have about 6 games already. I happen to be the head of partnerships of Ambitious Nigeria. It's an organization based in Finland, so I'm handling their partnerships here in Nigeria. So basically, all these things I've just said is just a basic what I do and what I can actually share. But the reason we are here is because of tech. Not necessarily Metaverse and NFTs, but I just want to give you guys a little boost. Tech is that particular space that most persons, especially in this part of the world, they don't really take very serious. I've been a graphic designer for a very long time, 7 years now. But my breakthrough into tech was when I went to a particular community, Innovation Hub, and then Facebook had an event there. So I didn't know that Facebook had a session very close to me, and they actually used Innovation Hub. I was very, very surprised, as mighty as Facebook, they are doing something like this here. So I went in, and it was very, very awesome. So that particular time, Facebook had a show. It's called Roadshow. They do it in every country and in every state, most states basically. And that was when I attended my first tech event, which was at. So the tech journey has been crazy. It has been crazy. I don't know the reasons why most of you are here. I don't know if you just want to come and catch cruise or if you really want to learn. But tech is so awesome. From my 200 level when I started tech very seriously, and then I'll know away. From that 200, I never really paid too much attention into my academics, because most of the things they are okay. For example, in my 200, most of the things they teach, even in finance and computer science, I already do them. And the funny thing is, they just teach them theory, but I've been in the space. I'm practicing in that particular space, and I was against lots of lecturers in computer science. I was a mathematics, but I was very, very bad. But I was really against computer science lecturers and what they do, because it's not to an extent standard. So tech is a particular space whereby if you actually venture into it and you're very, you actually try so easy. My circle of friends, we are about 8. 7 of the 8 persons are working remotely. The last person just least his earning is 6 figures. It's actually 2 points. That's the least he's earning. I'm not saying basic, this is like, you know, when you attend those multi-level marketing stuff, they'll tell you, you get car, you do this and do that. I'm not giving you those shit. I'm telling you like realistic stuff. Now, the reason I actually had to mention those certain persons is because tech is that space whereby if you venture into it and you're very, very good with it, you actually excel so much. And I really want you guys to go into tech. It's not particularly related to engineering. He just talked about Andrino and all that. He actually just solved a problem. Actually, there are about 3 startups in Port Harcourt that did this particular stuff. One of them is AMIO. Currently, yesterday they went to pitch to NFTs. I'm aware because it was a friend of mine that did that. And they are about securing the contract worth millions of naira. The other one was done by also a friend of mine, Gideon. He's the co-founder of Pilo. And as of last year, he went to pitch in Abuja. So he pitched last year in Abuja, also this year in Abuja to the Embassy of Israel. So yeah, there are about 3 black suit companies in Port Harcourt, to be precise. Now, the good thing about what he just did is, with what he just built, okay, he built it for 200,000 naira, yeah? He built it by himself. And he can actually tell us that with the right resources, get so much money for it. And okay, funny enough, the particular device NFTs are using currently, they get to import it from outside. That's what like hundreds of dollars he gets. If I'm just telling you about the market that is in this particular tech stuff. If you can get the right resources and tell even if it's not selling it at that amount, imagine him producing stuff like this for like hundreds of these for about 300,000 naira. That's like so much money. Well, let me come back to what I was saying. So I'm here to talk about Metaverse and NFTs. And okay, just preview the first one. Now, the system or the atmosphere, the world we are living right now is actually being driven by tech. He mentioned something when I came in. He said tech is actually I've taken over oil, but the truth is tech is the new oil right now. And every organization, every community, every individual that is not doing something related to that particular space will actually die out. I was privileged to go to attend a conference at Echo Hotel last 2 years, and one of the questions I asked, how do I stay relevant in this particular space? The head of AYE answered the simple question: just update yourself using tech. Most of the jobs you see right now, they will actually close up. I don't know what you're studying. Any petroleum engineering? Petrochemical. Now, most of these things are not really, before you actually get a job in this particular space, is hectic. But with the help of tech actually applies to every space that exists in this particular. You are an agricultural student, you can actually apply tech. There's what they call agri-tech. It's that particular tech that has to do with agriculture. If you're into biology and all that, there's what they call biotech. It's a tech that has to do with biology. If you're into financial technology and all that, there's what they call fintech. Okay, so tech actually applies to every single thing that exists in this world. So no matter what you're studying, you can actually go into tech and scale. Now, one of the most trending things that happened of recent was the introduction of Metaverse. How many of us have heard of the term Metaverse? Do we actually know what Metaverse is? Now, the thing is, there have been lots of superstitions and lots of misconceptions about this particular space, Metaverse. And some persons, they feel it's just fiction. Several years ago, when some persons were actually learning coding, the other ones that were not really learning coding, they saw it as they were just playing. But currently it's the reality. Years ago, if you tell somebody, okay, in the future, nearest future, can't be able to drive themselves, and they'll just see as you, this guy, you too watch movies, get your head out of the cloud and all that. But currently it is happening. There are lots of cars that are being driven, self-driven. There are lots of them that are being self-driven. There are lots of things that are happening now that it's just so amazing. Metaverse is one of those things. Now, I'll try to break it down to our simplest, to our understanding. How many of us are techies? Techies. You're into maybe web development and all that. Okay, fine, we have some persons. So, I also want us to have a little bit understanding of the term Metaverse. Now, Metaverse was coined from two words, meta and verse. Meta, which is related to the computer, then verse, which is universe. So, Metaverse is actually a computerized universe. That's what they're trying to tell us is. It's a universe, but in the computer. Now, why or how the Metaverse came about? Okay, how many of us have seen Ready Player One? It's the movie. Thank God. Now, the truth of the matter is, many people as of now, they still think Metaverse is something in the future. But the truth is, currently, most of us have used or interacted with a Metaverse kind of thing. How many of us have used any Oculus headset here before? You've gone to maybe one of the parks and you've played a game and you actually wore the headset. There are different technologies that powers Metaverse. We have the augmented reality, we have the virtual reality, and we have the mixed reality. It's called extended reality, and that is what is powering the Metaverse. So Metaverse is a combination of extended reality and the blockchain. I'll talk about blockchain when I'm talking about NFTs. So, virtual reality. Virtual reality simply is you going into the computer world. That is what virtual reality is. A very good example of virtual reality is when you're gaming and you have to wear your Oculus headset or you wear your Microsoft HoloLens, and what it does is it actually blocks your sense. So, wearing the Oculus headset, there is a headphone plug in your ear and then you're covered with the whole glass door. And now what happens is it takes away your sense of reasoning and you're not really in that particular space, but you're inside of the space. So it feels as though you're inside of the computer world. So that's what virtual reality does. It takes you from the physical into the computer world. Now, we have augmented reality. Augmented reality is simply the computer coming to the physical world. A very simple explanation of augmented reality is your Snapchat. So when you use your Snapchat to bring out your phone, you use those filters, you get to see, okay, what's happening there is, it seems as though those things are real. So it's the computer coming into the physical world. But basically, you cannot really see them with your physical eyes. You have to use an augmented reality device to see it. So when you do your Snapchat thing, you do the dog thumb thingy, and all that, that is simply the best explanation of an augmented reality. It is the reality that is augmented by the computer. In the basic sense is the computer coming into the physical world. There have been lots of games, augmented reality games. There was one particular game that trended so much. It's called Pokemon Go. And Pokemon Go was a game developed by Pokemon, a company. And when playing the game, if you just open your camera, the game has access to your camera. And once you open it, you can just view. You'll see it here. Like if I bring up my phone and I try to view this particular, you see some stuff happening here. You get it? So that game actually trended. That was like years ago. So the mixture of augmented reality and virtual reality is what they call mixed reality. So it's that particular space where you can actually interact. You can interact, and you're also inside of that particular the computer world. So it's a mixture of you and the computer. That is what we call mixed reality. In general sense of extended reality. Now, what is the Metaverse? The Metaverse is that, and it's a combination of these three spaces on the blockchain. Now, I asked the question, how many of us have seen Ready Player One? Ready Player One was that movie whereby most persons just wear their augmented reality and they are like, they love being in that space because it's actually augmented. And there are lots of metaverse that exist currently. I think one of the reasons why Metaverse trended was because Facebook had to change the parent company and actually named it Meta. That actually trended the whole Metaverse thing. Now, one of the things I said recently is that most of us feel Metaverse is something of the future, or we are actually living in the Metaverse world. For example, how many of us have played Call of Duty? You've seen a game Call of Duty PUBG. Now, that is simply a play game. Also, so that is simply Metaverse, but in a 2D variation. Let me explain. The Metaverse is that kind of world whereby you're wherever you are. For example, I'm here, and I can actually go into the computer world. I can interact with anybody from anywhere in that particular space. I can greet you, we can have a conversation, we are both having conversations. I can actually buy stuff in the Metaverse and it gets delivered to me. So Metaverse is that particular world whereby everybody can come together in a particular space. So, if you play Call of Duty, if you play PUBG, you've actually been in the Metaverse, but not with the full scale. Now, there are guys that over there, they play PUBG, Call of Duty with the headgear. Over here, we use our mobile phones. Now, what simply is PUBG? PUBG is a game whereby you get to create your skin, you go into the game, you interact with different persons from different places, all of you. You can actually buy clothes there for your skin, for your avatars. Now, the representation of you, okay, in the Metaverse, you can actually go physically. You have to have a representation, and the representation is called an avatar. So the avatar is you in the Metaverse. So let's say if I want to go into the Metaverse, I cannot go physically, obviously, except my Juju. Even Juju said no go work. But I need to have an avatar. An avatar is basically a profile picture in the Web 2 space. But the Web 3 is a full avatar whereby you understand what I'm trying to say. Yeah, so that is basically what the Metaverse is. Now there are different, next slide please. There are different applications of the Metaverse. Now, the Metaverse, why the Metaverse is trending is because of this. Imagine me, I want to, okay, let's say I go to Jumia and I buy a shoe, and the shoe gets delivered to me. On the system, I saw size 14. And when it was delivered to me, I was seeing a baby size shoe. Do you get? And it's not even what I ordered. It was a load. How many of us have seen stuff like that? You got something, or you've seen somebody that got something from e-commerce and all that, and when it was delivered, it was a whole different thing. There is this particular meme they use, things I ordered versus things I got. Yeah, so Metaverse, one of the applications of Metaverse, virtual reality, is actually the fashion industry. Imagine me currently, I want to buy a shoe, and I'm using my system. Yeah, I like this particular shoe. I just click on the shoe pops out. I can actually wear the shoe and see how it fits. If it's not my size, you actually see how it fits in my leg. I can actually look at it, then I click on order. I get to feel it, then before I place order for it. Imagine when I want to wear clothes, I want to know how it actually fits. There's no need for me to go, because it's actually opinion, so there's no way for me to test it. But using virtual reality and all that, I can test it. That is one of the applications of Metaverse. Now, for those of us, I don't know if there's anybody in architecture and all that, I keep wondering why they still use products like blenders and like AutoCAD and ArchiCAD and the rest of those things. But currently, the world has evolved to that particular space whereby if I want to create a house, for example, as an architect or as somebody as an architect, I can create the house using my Blender or my Maya, render the house, then I can actually walk inside of the house. So, you know when you give a designer, an architect to build something for you, and after the house is being built, you don't really like it, okay, you have to scatter this particular part. Like when my dad was building his house in the village, they actually wasted lots of money because when they were building a particular part of the house, you'd be like, okay, this particular part was not how I wanted. They will scatter and they will. Imagine a scenario whereby after the renting my house in my system, I get to give the client or whoever owns the house using my Oculus headgear. He gets to wear the Oculus headgear. Then he can walk around in the house. Hey, I don't like this part, take this part off. I don't like this part, take this part off. Like this, like this. He gets to feel the house. That is one of the applications of Metaverse in the real estate world. So the Metaverse and virtual reality is also applied in the automobile industry. Currently, before they design cars, I was watching Elon Musk one of the days, and he had to design one of his rocket engines. What he simply did was he wasn't even pressing the computer. He was just waving his hands in front of the computer, and he was actually designing an engine. After he was done designing, he looked at it. He was just playing with it because he wore an Oculus, and so he was able to see what he was doing. After playing with it, then he liked the engine he built. He took it to his computer and he actually clicked on, he used a 3D printer to print the particular machine. I don't know if I've seen Spider-Man, not really Spider-Man, Iron Man. That kind of shit. That was what happened. And it's not fantasy, it is happening already. So it is actually applicable to almost all parts or all industries that exist. Do you get it? So, for example, Facebook announced of recent when they actually changed their name to Meta, they want to create their own Metaverse. They actually made a post that they will be recruiting 10,000 persons from Europe alone to build or to work on the Metaverse. And they're employing 10,000 persons alone. Then imagine how much persons they will actually employ from Africa. So that space is currently too vast. This shirt apparently is actually an augmented shirt. Now, for some certain reasons, before I came here, I had to test it. But unfortunately, for the testing, the server we hosted stopped, had some issues. So I will not be able to make a display. But basically, it's an augmented shirt whereby if you use your Instagram and you just open your camera, point on my shirt, you get to see some designs and some cartoon-like picture, dancing, and all that. So it also applies in the fashion industry too. So what am I trying to say? The space is big, it is very, very big. And because of the trend and where we are going into, there's what they call Web3. Sorry, I just have to divert a little bit. Now, there's Web 1, Web 2, and currently what is existing, the technology that is existing currently is called Web 3. Web 1 was the form of internet that was just letters and text, no interaction and nothing. That was Web 1. Then later on, the internet evolved to what they call Web 2. So we involved with the advancement of Web 1 to Web 2, we started seeing pictures. People can communicate using video calls, text messaging, social media, and all that. Currently, Web 3 with the help of Metaverse. For you to actually communicate with somebody, you don't really need to text or have a video call. You can be in the same space with the same person, but the person is not there with you. The person will be in another particular place. That is where the future, that is where everybody is going. And it's happening so fast that if you're not in that space, you'll actually lose out. Years ago, companies that did not have a website, currently most of them are not relevant. Few years from now, if you're not integrated in the whole Metaverse thing, you will not be relevant. I saw a video of recent, a picture. Somebody posted something. The picture was a picture of a man holding a camera. It was a man holding a camera. The next image was a drone. And the person commented that if you look at this man, with the way things are evolving, he actually lost his job because of the drone. Now, because of the involvement of drone, he actually lost the job. But the truth is, assuming that man wanted to keep his job, he would have learned how to pilot the drone. So in that way, he's upgrading himself and he's still being relevant. Because obviously, the drones you see are being driven by people. So that's the whole thing about Metaverse. So there are communities that are building so much on Metaverse that are helping people get involved in this particular space. Next slide. So there are lots of communities that are being involved. Currently we have what they call the trees. If you want to get into this space, if you want to learn about Metaverse, to be part of the people driving these technologies, it's not very far. Currently, we are living in the world where we don't really need to go to a particular place to learn something. Everything can be learned right from your house with the help of your laptop. So there's a community called Extend Africa. This the one I'm wearing, this part of Extend Africa. So you can actually go online, section Extend Africa. They have a community whereby they have people and mentors that can teach you how these things work and how you can use this technology to build yourself. So let's talk about the NFTs. Now, many of us have seen lots of crazy things about NFTs, NFTs. So the question is, there's this buzz happening around the world. What is NFT? What is NFT? So NFT, okay, let me just show you this. This particular image, this pixelated image, was sold for $69 million. It's just an image, it's head that was sold for $69 million. This other one was sold for $1.6 million. It's an image of a rock. $1.6 million. Now, the current conversion rate naira is about 570. So when you do 570 times 1.6 million, you know how much the person got just by selling this particular rock. So there's this happening around the world. What really is NFT? Next slide. So NFT currently, okay, Jack Dorsey, the former CEO of Twitter, sold his first tweet for $2.9 million. His tweet, he sold it for $2.9 million. Let's go to the next slide. So what is NFT? NFT simply is a combination of three words: non-fungible and token. Non-fungible and token. Now, what is fungible? Let me try to explain it using explain it to like the very minimal form where we would actually understand. Your fungible is anything that I can break down into parts and it still holds that same value. For example, I have 1,000 naira. If the worth of that 1,000 naira is 1,000 naira, so I can use that particular one to get something worth of 1,000 naira. But if I still have 200 naira, 5 pieces, it still holds that same value as the 1,000 naira. Yeah. So that is what they call fungible. It is actually fungible because I can break it down into smaller pieces and it still retain that particular value. But non-fungible are pieces or something that you cannot, if you break them down, you cannot retain that particular piece. It can't happen. Things like art. For example, we've all heard of or seen the Mona Lisa image, right? Let's assume that that's original. There are lots of fake copies of Mona Lisa. No matter how they look alike, it will never be the same amount as the original piece. Do you understand? So those kind of things are non-fungible. Even if you break them down, they will never have the same value as the original. Now, what is token? For me to actually talk about the blockchain. Now, we've all heard about the blockchain. There are lots of things happening. Blockchain is blockchain that most persons now are running from the normal technology stuff heading towards the whole blockchain thing. So, let me actually use the explanation to explain what the blockchain does. The blockchain, okay, let me use the regular bank. Let's say I go to an eatery and I want to eat, and I want to use my card. So I buy something worth of 1,000 naira, and I give them my card. And what happens there is, the simple transaction that happens there is, when they slide my card, their POS or whatever, my bank will tell that particular bank, hey, this guy wants to remove 1,000 naira from this bank and put it in this other bank. So the transaction happens between just my bank and this other bank, and no other party can actually interfere. So once the bank is able to detect that, okay, I have 1,000 naira in my bank, he or she will collect it. What happens there is, there are lots of regulations happening. For example, your bank will just charge you ATM maintenance fee when they are not doing anything, 1,000 naira. They have lots of charges going on and all that. So some persons came about and they were like, okay, how do we create a system that is not really influenced by organizations, by individuals? And then, if I send it to you, I can still send it to you, and send it to you, and send it to you. All of us, we have the same image. You can sell yours for 1,000 naira, you can sell yours for 1,000, you can sell yours for 1,000 naira. But how are we able to know, okay, which one is the original? They will not be able to tell, because it's just a matter of words. Let me get the original, I get the original, because they are all the same thing. But with the help of the blockchain, so no other image, again, even if you post your own image, they will actually tell that, okay, this is the original. If I sell that same image, if I buy it from you and I sell it to you and he sells it to some other person, since it's an open system, they can actually check who was the original owner of the image. So in the blockchain, there is nothing like Pasha. Do you get? So with the help of that, people have started selling their art in NFT. That was why you saw lots of people for lots of crazy amount. But the truth is that people are not just buying images because it's crazy. According to one of the global experts for NFTs, the NFT alone is worth $300 trillion. $300 trillion. The richest person in the world currently is what's his name? Elon Musk, and it's about 200 or something billion dollars. The biggest company in the world is currently Apple. They are worth $3 trillion. Imagine a network, just a part of the technology, NFT, that is being worth 300 plus trillion dollars. That's to tell you how big the NFT market is. And why is it so big? It is because lots of the things, like I said, lots of persons have now seen the importance of these things, and they're now moving their assets to the blockchain. People are now buying lands in the Metaverse. MTN just said or recently that they bought a land in one of the Metaverse for how many $1 billion. All this is happening not because it's just crazy. But if you take a study into these arts that are being sold for this amount, you find out that they have use cases. They are actually solving problems. That's what most Nigerians don't know. When the NFT stuff was happening, some of my classmates then, when I was still in school, they called me like, well, Louis, snap at this NFT. Just say I don't go my backyard, snap my plantain. Because people have been posting and they've been getting lots of results. But this particular guy that was selling his selfies, he sold his selfies. About 30, worth more than $1 million. He just wake up, he will take his selfie, he post it as an NFT, and people will buy it. People will just rushing his selfie. Imagine you selling your selfie for 100,000 naira. Selfie that you just post on your WhatsApp status for free, and your friends will just clone it. Do you get? So the space is actually big, and as students, it is very, very, very important that we keep to this space. Lots of things are happening already, and if you look deeply, you find out that if you do your research, you find out that most of these technologies are being driven by students. That is why organizations like Google, Microsoft, and the rest of them, they have this key interest in students. That's why they are spending so much money from the grassroots development in universities. And it's very, very funny that most of the universities we have here, they are not even teaching what is relevant. That is one. Secondly, imagine people are still using papers to write codes. Yes, my 100 level, 200 level, when we did programming stuff, we wrote codes on paper. Yes, it's not just in RSU, several schools, they write codes on paper. And one of the exams we wrote, there was this particular guy, a friend of mine, was very good with C++, and we had a C++ exam. And what he did was, he actually wrote his code on the paper. He wrote it exactly on another paper, and he took it home. When the test came out, when the lecturer said he failed. Funny enough, when he went home, he wrote that same script using his computer and the code ran. So he found out that most of the lecturers, they don't really know what they are doing. The ones that actually know, they might actually have issues. Because, yes, reading it. Because, okay, let's say he learned it using this particular method. And this other guy wrote the code using this particular method. So he assumed that this particular one he did was wrong. And imagine learning in that particular kind of, how would you grow when you're forced to learn with just one particular pattern, where there are like 2 million ways for you to do a particular thing. So what I'm trying to say is, there are lots of technologies, there are lots of things happening. All you need to do is just go, grab a skill, learn a particular skill. Learn a particular skill. There are lots of communities, and God being so kind, before I graduated, we were able to set up something in school. Now, you're all students, or most of us are students of RSU. There is actually, there are different communities, tech communities that will help you grow. The community in RSU, one of the communities in RSU is Accelerate Innovation Hub. Now, Accelerate Innovation Hub is actually a community of young persons, students coming together to solve tech problems. So what we do is student mentorship, learnings, trainings, and all that. Now, in Accelerate, you get to meet your other people, your other students that are doing so well. Back then in my 200, 300, the average salary of a lecturer, of a consultant in school, is about 800,000 naira. I got the finance from a consultant friend. That's his salary, and you being a consultant, you know, even prof, they don't earn up to 600K. I know some profs that earn up to 400,000 as a prof. But an intern in Microsoft is earning $2,000. You're not working as a staff, you're an intern. You're earning $2,000. An intern in Facebook is earning $8,000. That is how big, that is how vast tech is. There are lots of tech companies that are earning so much, that are paying so much. Join the community of like-minded, tech-inclined persons, learn and collaborate. There is Accelerate Hub for you. The venue is, their office is at Advanced and Linkages Center. So you can actually go there or get inquiries from social media, or you can actually meet. Favor is here, Favor Ayo is here. She's the Women Tech Lead for Accelerate Innovation Hub. Last 2 weeks, Accelerate Hub was given the best community in Port Harcourt. The other communities that were involved in that particular, that were nominated, were Google and the rest of them. But fortunately, Accelerate Hub came out as the best community based on what he or she has done. I found out of recent that even the people in RS doesn't even know so much about